Hi guys, so I just wanted to sit down for a minute. I know that this is kind of a very out there video, not something that I would normally talk about, but I have started to be a little bit more open on my social media and my Instagram about my long struggles with breakouts and acne and just all of that really not fun stuff. And I feel like it's something, especially as an adult, that people don't talk about enough. So I wanted to sit down. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my journey up until this point, and then my journey starting with Accutane. I have tried so many different things. I've had breakouts ever since I was a teenager, and honestly, it is something that when you're a teenager, most of your friends are also going through the same thing, so it's not quite as embarrassing. But as an adult, it's really embarrassing. And I started getting into makeup. I love makeup, and it just doesn't have that same effect. You know, the foundation and the highlighters and things like that, they don't look as good if your skin is not where it should be. And so, it was one of those things where I decided I want to try everything to see what I can do. So I tried topical treatments, I've tried, the Retin-A, I've tried all sorts of antibiotics, I've tried birth control, all of the things that, most people have success with, and they were not successful for me. And it wasn't until probably about a year ago that I had one of the worst breakouts that I've ever had in my entire life, even worse than when I was a teenager. And it's so embarrassing, but I'll put pictures in here of what was going on. Basically, it was really cystic acne. It was along my cheeks. It's not the kind that is on the surface. It was really deep. It was really painful. Anytime that I wanted to lay my head down on the pillow, it was just painful. And it was something that clearly was happening from the inside out. So long story short, this has been a several-year journey since then, to try to find different treatments. And so I went to my dermatologist, and they suggested that I try Accutane because I've tried, obviously it is a last resort, and it was something that I had already done research prior to going in. And so I decided that after a lot of research and a lot of talking to you guys, talking to, some people on social media that have gone through it, what their experience was, and overwhelming, the consensus was it's a life-saving treatment. It is going to absolutely help, clear up your acne, but there are a lot of risks that go along with it. And, I knew that there were a lot of side effects, but I didn't realize how hard it was even to just obtain a prescription. So my journey with that basically was I went to my dermatologist once we decided that this was the treatment that I was going to move forward with. I had to sign several different, actually I have it right here, hold on. I had to sign a bunch of different waivers. I was given this booklet. Obviously, I'm a female who is at the age that I could possibly get pregnant, and they've been enrolled in this really interesting program. It's called iPledge. And it is a great program because obviously there's a very high chance if you were to get pregnant on this medication that your baby would have birth defects. And so they want to take all of the steps possible to ensure that that doesn't happen, which I totally understand, but boy, is it a process. So I was given this booklet. I had to sign a bunch of different waivers, read all of the material, and then after that, there is a 30-day waiting period. So even though I saw my dermatologist, I think we're 5 or 6 weeks back now, I had to wait 30 days. I had to have blood work done. I had to have a negative pregnancy test. So I had to go to the lab, actually have the urine test done. And then after the 30 days, I had to have a second negative pregnancy test. After that second negative pregnancy test, I had to go back to my dermatologist, and she had to fill out the prescription and send it to the lab. But you can't go to the lab unless you take the online test, and you have to use 2 forms of contraception. So mine is birth control and condoms. And then your dermatologist also has to go online, and your answers have to match. So you consistently have to say that you are using 2 different forms of birth control throughout this treatment. So once we did that, I was able to go pick up the prescription, but I found out that my insurance didn't cover the brand name. You know, Accutane is sort of the all-encompassing name, but there's a lot of different isotretinoin brands that are out there, and so my insurance, when I went to go pick it up, they said it would be $7,000 for 1 month's prescription. So then I had to go back to the dermatologist. We had to figure out what's the generic that my insurance will cover, and you have to pick, you only have a certain window. Once the prescription has been sent, you only have a certain window to go pick up the prescription. So when I got to the Walgreens counter, I nearly broke down in tears when I was able to finally pick this up. I mean, you guys, I can't describe, I mean, my friends and family obviously know that it was such an exhausting process. And this is only a 30-day supply, and I'm supposed to do this anywhere between like 4 to 6 months, possibly longer. And so each month you have to have a blood work done, and so you have to go back to the lab, get the blood work done, get the pregnancy test done. Once that comes back negative, you meet with your dermatologist again to see your progress for that month. Then they submit the next 30-day supply. So it's a really serious drug. It is, you know, it is something that I am not taking lightly. I know that I'm like sort of laughing about it and whatever, but I realize it is a very, very serious drug. There's a lot of serious side effects that can come of it. And so again, it wasn't something that I took lightly, but it was a process. So once I actually picked up the medication, this is what it looks like. You've got 3 different 10-day supplies in here, and each little pamphlet looks like this. Whenever you open it up, it is constantly reminding you, do not get pregnant while on this medication. And so you pull the peel back, and then the medication is on the inside. So again, it is something that if you're considering doing it, you have to know that going in, that is certainly going to be a challenge to get a hold of the medication. And of course, like I said, there's a lot of insurance things. It's not cheap. I mean, each time I go to my dermatologist every month, and each time I have lab work done, that is more money out of my pocket. But again, I felt, just for me personally, that this was the right decision. As far as side effects goes, I'm only on day 4 right now. So yesterday, I hadn't had any side effects for the first couple of days. And then yesterday, I just started feeling really nauseous. I started feeling like kind of lethargic and fatigued, but I've woken up this morning and that has sort of subsided. So from everyone that I've talked to, I can expect some really dry skin. I've already stocked up on the chapstick and, you know, lotions and products like that, hydrating products, so I know that that's something that is certainly going to come. A lot of people also experience joint pain, they experience the fatigue, but everyone is different. Everyone is completely different, so we'll see. I'm going to keep you posted on sort of the journey after this. I will insert a picture of what my skin is currently looking like now. It actually, of course, right before I pick up the prescription, was starting to look a lot better. I got a treatment done. It's called dermal infusion, and it is amazing. So I went to a woman named Julie here in Orlando, and they started offering this treatment called dermal infusion, and it's actually a really interesting concept because it's got several different you know, developing methods. It's sort of like a 3-in-1, like it extracts the gunk out of your pores. It sounds like a vacuum coming out of it, and then also at the same time it's infusing 2 different types of serum. So for me, it was an acne serum and then a hydrating serum. After that, it's also got like a dermabrasion tip on it, and so it's supposed to help with the scarring, because unfortunately with all of my breakouts, once they clear up, I'm still going to be left with a lot of scarring. So we've got to figure out a way to balance that out. Unfortunately, I can't have the dermabrasion tip whenever I'm on Accutane, but I am going to continue seeing her with a smooth tip and then a hydrating serum every couple of weeks, just to maintain that moisture back into my skin. And then afterwards, we'll move on to maybe some microneedling and continue the dermabrasion in order to get the surface of the skin balanced back out. But you know, I'm hopeful. I'm a little bit nervous because obviously this is a really intense process that is going to take a while, and for me, I want immediate results. So this is it's challenging for me, but I think it's going to be worth it. I think I finally figured out a plan after feeling so hopeless and trying so many different things. This is something that I'm confident this regimen is going to pay off. So fingers crossed, say a prayer for me. If you have any questions, or if you've been on Accutane, or if you've tried the dermal infusion, or you're considering all of this process, if you're going through the same thing, definitely leave a comment, send me a message. I would love to chat with you. See you next time.